since Cantor King came to Bethel, which would have been 1997. And one of the first things he did, along with Shazi together, was to create the choir.
For over 20 years, the choir has enhanced our services and provided beautiful music during holiday services especially. But it's always a special treat when the choir is in services because they really add a little something extra.
It's amazing because the first year I was here, and probably within the first week or two that I was here, I held auditions for the choir, the adult choir, which there had never been here before, a volunteer adult choir. And I just sort of said, anybody who wants to come, and I'll listen to you, and we'll see if. Of course, everybody got in, who came to audition, and we've gone through a large number of people who have either moved away or who have left this earth, unfortunately. But we have so many people who just keep coming in and filling the places, and it's the same choir, except it's something that keeps being recreated every year with a lot of the same people. So we have many people here who are in that original choir from when I came here in 1997. So it's a real thrill, and it's an honor that they keep coming back.
I'm one of the original choir members since the very first time that we met for trials to join the choir. And this was shortly after Cantor King joined us.
I'm one of the newies in the choir, and it's been a wonderful experience. I never felt that I belonged in a choir, but fortunately the other members drowned me out.
So choir, working kind of on multiple levels to enhance services and congregational life. First of all, just the beauty of the services when the choir is singing, the hallel that they put together. I mean, participating in many different aspects of services over the years, and just the way the sound of the voices fills up the sanctuary, the Berman Reuben, or the Gorn Chapel, and it really changes the whole feel of the service in those moments. But the other thing is that it just creates a sense of participation in the congregation. So folks who are connected through the choir, who participate in the choir, they're going to be at services. They'll show up. And they enjoy, I think, participating in the services as much as helping to lead the services.
They are extremely dedicated. They come in weekly for rehearsals, even when there's nothing big happening, to prepare for the next big thing, basically, or next small thing that happens. We go out and we sing Hanukkah carols at different places where people are shut-ins, and we do other things all over the place. And it's just a lot of fun to do that thing. And then this kind of thing, which is a little more, you might call it artistic. They've really stepped up every time we've done something, especially when they try to sing my compositions, which is not always so easy. But we do it for Hallel, we do it for a lot of the services, stuff that I've written.
We started out with a choir that, of course, in the beginning we didn't know each other. Some people didn't even read music, but with the help of Shazi King and Cantor King, we were able to bring everybody up to kind of a common level of ability, and to bring the beauty of the music, the chazanut, the nusach that we all appreciate, and that the choir is involved with for the high holidays, and then sometimes for very fun things like our cabarets.
It's a serious commitment for the choir. It's every week, pretty much every week throughout the year, Tuesday evenings, serious practice, serious rehearsal. If you think about Purim and the amount of work that they put into creating the Purim spiel year in and year out, the amount of rehearsal required for that, I mean, it's really, what I would say, it's really, for the choir, for Cantor King, for Shazi, it's just a labor of love.
We first started the Selichot service in 2003, or at least that was the first year I have recorded that I was involved in it. And the music has been pretty much the same throughout.
Selichot is one of the most beautiful services in all of the year. It really is sort of like the kickoff to the high holiday season. And Selichot is done sort of differently all around the world. In Sephardic communities, it's very loud, it's very peppy, it's very alive. And in Ashkenazic communities, you see a little bit more of a mournful tone, a serious tone for Selichot. Really putting yourself in the spiritual mood for the holidays. The Cantor King, I know, wrote a special service for Selichot himself that we do here at Bethel with the men's choir and the cello. And it's really a beautiful mix, again, of that traditional sort of style to really get yourself and set that spiritual clock that's inside you.
We were rehearsing for a recording that's coming up. We're going to be recording this piece that I wrote, I think it was about 2001. After a few years of being here and doing Selichot, I wanted to do something a little different, or maybe a little more artistic and more of one piece rather than just, usually Selichot is sort of a pastiche of different tunes from the high holidays, which is what we sort of accomplished with this, but in a little more of I think a little more of an artistic way, and using the tunes in a slightly different way. So they're a little unfamiliar, some of them are totally new, a lot of them are totally new. There's a few pieces of nusach in there that are traditional, but mostly it's new stuff, and interspersed with English readings from various sources. It's really, it was sort of a labor of love for me. I sort of sat down and with the book and sort of went through it all to see what I thought would work, and added readings in between so that people could participate in the service as well.
With the additional part of Evan Drachman, amazing cellist, it just adds so much. And this is an incredible experience for me. I know that it so much speaks to the soulfulness of the Selichot service.
My parents moved to Baltimore in 1969. And so I grew up at Bethel. I went to Hebrew school here. I was bar mitzvahed at Bethel. I was married at Bethel. I've been here for many, many years. My father was on the committee to choose the new cantor after Saul Hammerman retired. And he was very excited one day. He came home and said, "I've heard this wonderful cantor, Thom King." And then we started attending services and heard his glorious voice. And at some point, he and I became friends and started to collaborate musically. And Cantor King wrote some beautiful pieces that we do at various services. And my absolute favorite is the Selichot service that we do every year. It's about a 1 hour long service, cantor, cello, and male choir. And we've been doing it for, I can't remember, but probably close to 20 years. We've been doing it. And every year it's a little bit different. We keep tweaking it this way and that way, and we have fun with it. And we've been talking for years about the idea of recording it, because I think it's something very, very special. And this is the year. This is the year that we're going to get to do that, and I'm thrilled.
A genuine recording artist coming in to do the sound and to record it. He's going to bring his equipment in, and he liked this room. We walked around the entire building to find the right room to record, and he thought this was the best ambient acoustic in the place. So we decided to go with that. He's the expert, so I agreed with him. And
so this project was composed by Cantor King. I think it runs about 45 minutes, so it's a pretty big project, about the length of an album. It was just kind of how we're treating this, as an album recording session in a way. It's a very dynamic work. There's a lot of different elements. There's different contrasting styles, and sounds going on. So it kind of has that feeling of this is a nice big body of work, kind of contained into one album length package.
For recording, it has to be, we're singing as one voice. So it's a completely different dynamic that we're learning, as opposed to, I remember one year there were only 4 men that sang for Selichot. Other years we've had 7, 8, 10. Here we have, I believe, somewhere between 9 and 10 that are going to be singing, and the trick is to make it sound like there's one voice coming from the 10 of us and not 10 individual voices coming out of 10 or 11 or 12 people, because sometimes you don't know where the voice is coming from.
Normally when we perform, it's here and it's gone. And we practice a lot, we rehearse a lot, but at the moment, we're creating something that needs to inspire in that moment. Well, a recording is something different. A recording is something that is around forever, theoretically. And so therefore, it's a different experience. You hear it differently. It's actually, the sound is actually quite different, because rather than someone being in an audience and as a cellist or as a singer, you're trying to project, the microphones are usually up pretty close. So the sound comes across quite differently. The balances are different. If there is a slight glitch, something a little bit out of tune, something not quite together in a live performance, well, that slips away. People don't really remember that. But if you hear it over and over again in a recording, you certainly remember it. So you try to be accurate. You try to create something that you can listen to over and over again, without being bothered by those little glitches. But you need to capture that magic. I'm very lucky. I get to play on my grandfather's cello. My grandfather was the cellist Gregor Piatigorsky, played concerts all over the world and made much of his career on this beautiful instrument. And now I get to play it. It's one of these things that live out of time. This cello had many, many lives before my grandfather, and it should have many lives after me. It just celebrated its 300th birthday. So I'm very, very happy to get to play it, and very happy to get to play it with this beautiful sound of Cantor King and the male choir here at Beth El. A key element in this recording is Shazi King. She is a force to be reckoned with, and she has spearheaded this and made it happen. And I'm very grateful for her and all of her effort in this, because I think she's the one that's really going to make this come to fruition.
Well, it was a fascinating thing to be involved with. I've always kind of been interested in sort of how a recording is put together, what are the various components, the elements, how does the sound get layered, and all that kind of business, recording track by track. And so the sort of genesis of all this is the amazing, beautiful Selichot service that Cantor King composed already many, many years ago, and that we've been using for Selichot. And Evan Drachman, our cellist, wonderful, wonderful cellist, wonderful, wonderful mensch. The choir participating, traditionally the men's part of the choir for the Selichot service, and the music that Cantor King put together, some of it traditional, some of it his own composition. And then, when you have something that's that special, the question starts to become, how do we preserve it? What can we do to make it available to even more people? And so the idea of recording it, bringing in a professional, and to go into the Berman Rubin, to see the mics, the chords all over the place, to see the layers come together one at a time. So to hear Evan playing his piece. And then Cantor asked me to help in terms of voiceover. There are English parts to the service that are read when we do the service congregationally, and so they asked me to record those parts, and I was very honored and really enjoyed having the opportunity to participate. As my mom always said, I have A face for radio.
The setup is it's very there's a lot that goes in a thought that goes into these sorts of setups because the way that this music is different or any sort of acoustic based music, any like classical music or anything, there you don't just go into a recording studio and put up a microphone and then put every piece together. It's all happening in the space. It's happening at the same time. So you want to be able to capture everything that's happening in a way that reflects the blend, but also gives you some control over the different elements, so that you can not to shape the performance necessarily. I want to have a gentle hand. I want to be allowing the performance to be what it is, but to have some control over how the performance is presented, to be able to draw some attention to different musical things that are happening. Kept it kind of minimal for what I do, just 10 microphones. And it's not a different microphone for every person, but it's more of taking a picture, almost like taking one picture from a few different angles, and then being able to blend those angles on top of each other to get a clearer, a clear idea that presents well. So my goal is to create something that an image of the sound that is both clear and blended. So it has some space to it, but also you can make out the text and understand the. I tend to go a little close with the microphones. So if I put the mics very far away, you get a lot more of the ambient room. You get the noises outside. You get the sound of the air conditioning and the electronics in the room. So by getting a little closer, I get closer to the source. But then the other difficulty is that when I get too close, you can start to pick out individual voices within the group. And that's always a really challenging balance because you want to get microphones far away, but you also want to have the detail. So for me, I think the biggest challenge with this recording, and the biggest challenge with any choral recording, even when you have like 100 voices, but it's even harder when you just have a few voices to get that blended sound. So for me, part of that challenge is going to happen in post. I'll do some things to kind of make it feel a little more blended, even though I kind of had a close capture. So that's a big challenge with vocal ensemble music all the time. We chose to use the sanctuary because this room it's big. It has lots of reflections. So as sound goes out to all the different walls in different directions, it comes back and it creates a richer, fuller, thicker sound. And that I wanted a little bit of that in the recording baked in, because that helps get that blend that's so hard to get. So after the recording is finished, when all the pieces are put together, I'll go home with it. I'll listen to it. I'll play around with getting the sort of balance that I want and try to get it sounding to where I feel like, oh, this is kind of the sound we're going for. And then I'll edit it together. So I'll go through, I'll listen to all the different takes that we took with the score in hand, and I will stitch everything together and following the score and pick out the takes that I think sounded the best. And then, once all of that's done, I'll just keep going over it and polishing it up. This is absolutely the first synagogue I've worked with. Usually these are done by musicians or groups of musicians, ensembles that want to get a work recorded. But it's still working with a composer.
So it's been a lot of preparation. Fortunately, the material is the same material we've been doing for 20 years, so we all know it.
Yeah, running a choir is a lot of work, and I know that Cantor King and Shazi put a lot of time and effort into it. Rehearsals are weekly, and I think it's a long rehearsal too. And I know that Shazi, in particular, is, I think, the organizer of all the music. She makes sure that everybody has the music that they need, the correct music that they need, really overseeing those rehearsals and making sure that they're efficient, well run, and that what needs to be done gets done. And it's got to be a lot of work. I don't think I could do it because it's a lot of people, it's a lot of personalities to manage, and the result speaks for itself. I mean, it's again a beautiful music that comes for services. So all that hard work definitely pays off from both Shazi and Cantor's and also the participants themselves, who give so much time to Bethel of their own time, their personal time. This volunteer choir.
Oh yeah, we have to talk through it and how we're going to do it. There's some things that we may have to do in the studio later, voiceovers or whatever that are part of the service as well. The English readings are included, and sort of put them together, and also not to keep it sort of interesting, so that was always a different kind of rhythm happening, and different speeds of different tempi throughout. So it's a conglomerate sort of.
The choir has been a big positive part of my life, my family's life, and continues to be, and I'm sure will be for a long time to come in the future.
Well, the commitment of our leadership, the Cantor and Shazi, and the vision that they have instilled have motivated us, the men, to perform as one and try to come up with something that will last and we will be proud of for many, many years, hopefully for decades.
Selichot is really that kickoff there, and I know to have it professionally recorded is very meaningful to the choir, and it'll be nice also for Bethel, something that we can have in our own archives to remember, in the years to come, from generation to generation, how Cantor King really has put a beautiful impact on services here at Bethel, and really helps us get into the mood for the high holiday season.
We are grounded in tradition. These are old traditions. Selichot is a very powerful moment in the Jewish liturgical calendar. It marks really the beginning, that moment when your heart and soul begins to feel that the high holy days are here, and all of the work, all of the meaning, all the connection, all the history that evokes rather. But at the same time, you have that tradition, and then there's a sense of how do you carry these themes and motifs, which yes are grounded in the past, but are eternal. It speaks to us year in and year out. The high holy days, what it means to be a person of quality of character, what it means to be in relationship with those you care about, what it means to be in relationship with God, with community, what it means to live your life as a Jew in a meaningful. These are questions we always must ask ourselves. And the Selichot service, as grounded as it is in the past, helps us ask those questions today and every day.
Music remains a powerful and magical thing. And so I think its value in the world, in religion, in Judaism, is going to remain and be important.
Well, it's sort of a legacy type of thing that, you want to have quite often you perform, or you put something on, you put something together and you do it, and then it's gone forever. It's not there anymore. making a recording of it, a high quality recording like this, means that it will, it will exist. It will continue to exist after the performance. So far, it's only been done, in the congregation, and I think it's been recorded a couple of times, but not professionally recorded, just sort of, on a phone or on a camera in the back of the room or something like that, like we record our services. Not exactly perfection as far as an archival idea that it will continue on. So whether it continues on or not, I don't know. We have boxes full of records, that nobody listens to anymore. But I think this service is something that I think if people heard it, I think they'd like it, and might add to their, they could listen to it, and it might add to their getting into the high holiday services.
Well, I think anytime you do anything of a permanent basis or nature, there's a legacy that's passed on. I mean, my grandkids could come up to Bethel 20 years from now and say, I wanted to see what Zadie was doing. And there's something there. It's there for posterity. So, and hopefully the music probably won't change in that 20 years. So maybe one of my grandkids will be singing the same songs I am.